Sade Gaurava. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So before we continue reading, I'll just mention briefly today is the disappearance day of Jayananda Prabhu. He was an amazing devotee. He had joined in San Francisco. And he, till today, when there's Rath Yatra organized, they put his photo there because he really worked very hard for the Rath Yatra every year since it started in San Francisco. He was so humble that he used to attract everyone's heart with his humility. It was, he had such beautiful qualities that he was attracting everyone because of his qualities. And he was looking at him, people would be just attracted to become devotees, to engage in Krishna consciousness, to do some service. Although he was very, very advanced, at one point he still he would I'm sorry, he would he's so humble. There were young brahmacharis, and yet he would do all the menial services. He was the senior most, but he wouldn't let anyone show that. And his qualities would be like Trinadapi Sunichena, he was actually manifesting that quality. And also he would manifest the quality of very complete renunciation. Like he had kind of mystic opulence. He barely would sleep, and yet he would work the hardest. He was able to do that. And he was so kind that everyone was just so attracted to him. Very hardworking. And he left the world. Prabhupada was still there, still here. And Prabhupada said he's a pure devotee, he's a Vaishnava. And so his disappearance day is celebrated till today in all the temples. So I just wanted to say a few words about him. So today, before we begin reading, did anyone want to recap what we read?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We read that after Indra killed Vritrasur, the demigods, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, returned to their respective homes. Indra was not talking to anyone. He was very unhappy. He was in morose. Indra was unhappy because he had killed a pure devotee, Brahmana. Vritrasur was a perfect Vaishnava. The sages told Indra that they will perform Ashwamedh sacrifice so that for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, so that way all his sinful reactions will be relieved. One who has killed his father or cow or Brahmana, so by chanting the holy name of Lord Vishnu, one can be freed from all the sinful reactions. By surrendering to Krishna, one can be freed from all the sinful reactions. But one should not take advantage of this. It is an offense, nam aparad, by doing the actions and doing the sinful thing, and then you say you are chanting, so that is not, it's an offense. And Indra, they killed Vritrasur because by the instructions of the sages that he should kill, and it's his responsibility to take care of everyone. So that's why he did that. But he's feeling he's in atonement. Like he feels that he has done an offense, he's done a wrong thing by killing Dhritarashtra. And I just remember till then.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So then we'll continue reading then. So he was seeing sin personified in the form of a Chandala woman.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So then are we going to continue? Nabo gato disha sarvam.
Nabo gato disha sarva.
Sahasraksho vishampate.
Sahasrakshu vishampate.
Prag utichim disham turnam.
Prag utichim disham turnam.
Pravishto nripamanasam.
Pravisto nripamanasam.
Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O king, Indra first fled to the sky, but there also he saw the woman of personified sin chasing him. This witch followed him wherever he went. At last he very quickly went to the northeast and entered the Manas Sarovar lake. Saavasat pushkaranaalatantu.
Saavasat pushkaranam
Alabdhabogo yadi iha nidutaha.
Alabdhabogo yadiha agnidutaha.
Varshani sahasram alakshito anta.
Varshani sahasram alakshita antaha.
Sanchintayan brahmavadat vimoksham.
Sanchintayan brahmavadhat vimoksham.
Always thinking of how he could be relieved from the sinful reaction for killing a Brahmana. King Indra, invisible to everyone, lived in the lake for 1,000 years in the subtle fibers of the stem of a lotus. The fire god used to bring him his share of all yagyas. But because the fire god was afraid to enter the water, Indra was practically starving. So the demigods, they get the share of the yagyas, and Indra is here inside the Manas Sarovar, and he is hiding in the stem of the lotus. And so Agni Dev was bringing him, but Agni can't enter the water, no? So not very efficient. So Indra is practically starving then. Tavat trinakam nahusha shashasa.
Tavat trinakam ushashasa.
Vidya tapoyoga balanubhava.
Vidya tapo yoga balanubhava.
Sasampadaishwaryamadanda buddhi.
Sasampadeshwarya madanda buddhi.
Nitasthirascham gatim indrapatnya.
Nitasthirascham gatim indrapatnya.
As long as King Indra lived in the water wrapped in the stem of the lotus, Nahusha was equipped with the ability to rule the heavenly kingdom due to his knowledge, austerity, and mystic power. Nahusha, however, blinded and maddened by power and opulence, made undesirable proposals to Indra's wife with a desire to enjoy her. Thus, Nahusha was cursed by a Brahmana and later became a snake. So Nahusha became like a proxy. He was taking care of the kingdom, but he got attracted to Indra's wife and he got cursed. Tato gato brahma giro pahuta.
Tato gato brahma girupahuta.
Ritam bharadhyana nivaritaga.
Itam varadhyana nivaritaka.
Papastu digdevataya hataujas.
Papastuti vitaya hatajas.
Samnabhyabhut avitam vishnu patnya.
Tamna vibhud avitam Vishnu patnya.
Indra's sins were diminished by the influence of Rudra, the demigod of all directions. Because Indra was protected by the goddess of fortune, Lord Vishnu's wife, who resides in the lotus clusters of Manasarovar lake, Indra's sins could not affect him. Indra was ultimately relieved of all the reactions of his sinful deeds by strictly worshipping Lord Vishnu. Then he was called back to the heavenly planets by the Brahmanas and reinstated in his position. So he was hiding in the lotus stem so that the sinful reactions don't come to him, because they were coming to him in the form of that Chandal woman. So he's doing austerities, taking shelter of Lakshmi Devi, and he's doing austerities for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. So then finally he gets freed from the sins. 1,000 years he did. And also his sins are diminished by the influence of Rudra. Okay. And so then he's finally called, okay, now come back. Tamcha Brahmarshyo Bhyetya
Tamcha brahmasya abhitya.
Ayamedena Bharata
Ayamedena bharata.
Yathavad Dikshayam Chakru
Yatha dikshayam chakru.
Purusha Aradhanena.
Purusharadhanena.
O king, when Lord Indra reached the heavenly planets, the saintly Brahmanas approached him and properly initiated him into a horse sacrifice, Ashwamedh Yajna, meant to please the Supreme Lord. So then finally now they are able to do the Ashwamedh Yajna, which they were saying they're going to do immediately, but immediately they were not able to do it because there was too much sin there. And this is being done for the pleasure of the Lord. Athejyamane purushe
Athejamane purushe.
sarvadeva mayatmani
Sarvadeva mayatmani.
ashvamedhe mahandrena
Ashwamedhe mahendrena.
vitate brahmavadibihe
Vitate brahmavadibhihi.
savai twastra vadho bhuya
Savaitwastra vado bhuya.
api papa chayo nripa
Papa chayaka.
nitastene vashunyaya
Nitasteneva shunyaya.
nihara iva bhanuna.
Nihara iva bhanu.
The horse sacrifice performed by the saintly Brahmanas relieved Indra of the reactions to all his sins because he worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead in that sacrifice. O king, although he had committed a gravely sinful act, it was nullified at once by that sacrifice, just as fog is vanquished by the brilliant sunrise. So the Ashwamedh Yajna is done for the pleasure of the Lord, and he's relieved of all the sinful reactions. Savaji medena yathoditena
Savajimite yatutitena.
mitaya manena marichi mishre
हितायमानेन मरीचिर्मिश्रेण
Ishvadiyajnam Purusham Puranam
Ishvadiyagam Purusham Puranam
Indro Mahanasa Vidhuta Papa
Indro Mahan Asa
Papa.
King Indra was favored by Marichi and the other great sages. They performed the sacrifice just according to the rules and regulations, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul, the original person. Thus, Indra regained his exalted position and was again honored by everyone. So we can see that the demigods are also dependent on the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. All the sacrifices are done for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. And then when Lord Vishnu is pleased, then they can be in their positions as rulers. Idam mahakhyanamashesha papanam
Idam
Idam
Mahakam
Papanam
Ramashishapapmanam
prakshalanam tirthapadanukirtanam
Rakshalanam
Rakshalanam
Tirthapadanukirtanam
Tirthapadanukirtanam
bhakti ucharayam bhaktajananuvarnanam
Bhakti
Bhakti
Uchrayam
Ucharyam
Jananuvarnanam
Bhaktajananuvarnanam
Mahendra Moksham Vijayam Marutvatah
Mahendra Moksham
Moksha
Vijayam Marupatah
Vijayam
Patheyurakhyanamidam Sada Buddha
Pateyu
Patheyurakhyanam
idam
idam sada
sadam
buddha
Tinmanti Atho Parvani Parvanindriyam
Shrinvanti Atho
Shrinvantiyathu
Parvani Parvanani
Parvan Indriyam
Dhanyam Yashasyam Nikilagamocanam
Dhanam Yashasyam Nikilagamocanam
Vipunjayam Swastiayanam Tatha Yusham
Nipunjayam Swasti Ayanam
Swasthayanam
Tathayusham.
Tathasiyam.
In this very great narrative, there is a glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan. There are statements about the exaltedness of devotional service. There are descriptions of devotees like Indra and Vritrasur. And there are statements about King Indra's release from sinful life and about his victory in fighting the demons. By understanding this incident, one is relieved of all sinful reactions. Therefore, the learned are always advised to read this narration. If one does so, one will become expert in the activities of the senses, his opulence will increase, and his reputation will become widespread. One will also be relieved of all sinful reactions. He will conquer all his enemies, and the duration of his life will increase. Because this narration is auspicious in all respects, learned scholars regularly hear and repeat it on every festival day. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 6th canto, 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled King Indra Afflicted by Sinful Reaction. So we can see here that Sukadev Goswami is saying that just by hearing this narration or reading it, one can get so many. What are the boons that one gets by hearing this pastime or reading it? Here.
Release from sinful reactions.
Yeah, relieved of sinful reactions.
We also
And
become expert in being controlled and being conscious, and also being controlled and being conscious, expert at the activities of senses, understanding devotional service.
His opulence will increase.
Opulence will increase. Yeah. And he's going to become...
Reputation will be widespread.
Yeah, so he'll become very famous. Relief from sinful reactions. Yeah, you mentioned that. And he will
Conquer all his enemies.
conquer his enemies, and duration of life will increase. So we can see, by hearing Bhagavatam, we can get so much benefit.
But it's not mentioned, right? Like, what was his past birth? I thought there was
we're
something.
gonna hear.
Right? That story. Oh,
Yeah,
we're going to hear.
Yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
hear. Coming just about now, coming in this chapter.
I'm anxiously waiting to hear that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to say earlier, but coming now.
Because I heard, right, like mentioning something, so I said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
How he became a demon.
Yeah, it's true. So this is the same question that Parikshit Maharaj is asking now. Yeah. So we'll read chapter 14, King Chitraketu's lamentation. In this 14th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj asked his spiritual master Sukadev Goswami how such a demon as Vritrasur could become an exalted devotee. In this connection, the previous life of Vritrasur is discussed. This involves the story of Chitraketu and how he was victimized by lamentation because of the death of his son. Among many millions of living entities, the number of human beings is extremely small. And among human beings who are actually religious, only some are eager to be liberated from material existence. Among many thousands of people who desire relief from material existence, one is freed from the association of unwanted persons or is relieved of material contamination. And among many millions of such liberated persons, one may become a devotee of Lord Narayan. Therefore, such devotees are extremely rare. Since bhakti, devotional service, is not ordinary, Parikshit Maharaj was astonished that an asura could rise to the exalted position of a devotee. Being doubtful, Parikshit Maharaj inquired from Sukadev Goswami, who then described Vritrasur with reference to his previous birth as Chitraketu, the king of Surasena. So here Prabhupada is mentioning, like Parikshit Maharaj is so, like how we were just now, Sneha was asking how he became a devotee, because it's so rare to become a devotee. First of all, out of 8,400,000, only 400,000 is human beings. And that also majority of us, we are just engrossed in sense gratification. Some are actually following the Vedic scriptures. Then out of that, some actually want to get liberated. Out of such thousands who want to get liberated, hardly one can get liberated. And among millions of such liberated persons, there's one devotee. So we can see that a devotee is so rare. Devotee of Lord. That's why Krishna says also Manushyayam Sahasreshu in Bhagavad Gita. So Chitraketu, who had no sons, got an opportunity to meet the great sage Angira. When Angira inquired from the king about his welfare, the king expressed his moroseness, and therefore, by the grace of the great sage, the king's first wife, Krityadyuti, gave birth to a son who was the cause of both happiness and lamentation. Upon the birth of this son, the king and all the residents of the palace were very happy. The co-wives of Krityadyuti, however, were envious, and later they administered poison to the child. Chitraketu was overwhelmed by shock at his son's death. Then Narad Muni and Angira went to see him. So, Shri Parikshit Vacha.
Shri Parikshit Vacha.
Rajastamas Svabhavasya
Rajastama Swabhavasya
Brahman Vritasya Papmanaha
Brahman Vritrasya Papmanaha
Narayane Bhagavate
Narayane Bhagavati
Katham Asidridamatihi.
Katham Ashidridamatihi.
King Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, O learned Brahmana, demons are generally sinful, being obsessed with the modes of passion and ignorance. How, then, could Vritrasur have attained such exalted love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan? In this material world, everyone is obsessed with the modes of passion and ignorance. However, unless one conquers these modes and comes to the platform of goodness, there is no chance of one's becoming a pure devotee. This is confirmed by Lord Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita 7:28. Yesham tvat antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. Since Vritrasur was among the demons, Maharaj Parikshit wondered how it was possible for him to have become such an exalted devotee. So he's saying that usually demons are with passion and ignorance. What happened to Vritrasur? And Prabhupada is quoting here 728, that how does one become a devotee, that they've acted previously piously. So this piety is not ordinary material piety, but it is spiritual piety. Because material piety cannot bring us devotion. It's only the spiritual piety, engaging in some service to the devotee, engaging in some sort of devotional service. So the devotees had asked Prabhupada, that means, so we were pious and we have acted piously in the previous life. Prabhupada said, I'm creating your pious credit, because Prabhupada was giving a chance to everyone to engage in devotional service. Otherwise, how would the devotees get this kind of pious credit? So he was providing this kind of a facility so people can do some service and get this sukriti, so to be able to engage in devotional service. Devanam Shuddha Satvanam
Devanam Shuddha Sattvanam
Sattvanam
Rishinam Chamalatmanam
Vishinam Chamalatmanam
Chamalatmanam
Bhaktir Mukunda Charane
Bhakti
Bhakti
Mukunda
Mukunda
Charani
Charani
Na Prayeno Pajayate.
Na
Praye
Prayeno
Pajayate.
Pajayate.
Demigods situated in the mode of goodness and great saints cleansed of the dirt of material enjoyment hardly ever render pure devotional service at the lotus feet of Mukunda. Therefore, how could Vritrasur have become such a great devotee? So he's full of wonder. What happened? Rajobi Samasankhyaata
Rajobi Samasankhata
Parthiver Iha Jantava
Parthive Iha Jantava
Tesham Ye Kecha Nehante
Tesham Ye Kechane Hante
Shreyo Vai Manujadayaha.
Shreyo Manujadaya.
In this
Hare
material
Krishna
world,
Shilpa.
Hare Krishna.
Here they said in the verse before, how could Vritrasur become such a great devotee, and that the demigods were not rendering pure devotional service.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Although the
demigods
demigods are in
are,
need of goodness.
yeah, so then the demigods, they don't render pure devotional service.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Because they have material desire, right? They are devotees, but they have material desire. That's why they are in the position of demigods, ruling
Okay.
positions, management positions. Yeah.
They are in the management position, but they don't render pure devotional service.
No, they have material desires.
Okay.
So they are devotees, but they have material desires. And that's the reason they are given this facility to fulfill the material desires. As we are saying, Indra, Lord Indra, he's a devotee, but he has material desires also.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we are also in this material world, and then we also we don't, right?
Our desires are more. Material desires are more.
Yeah, so many. Just when we are reading, that's it. That's it.
Right.
What are we doing?
Yeah, so that's why it's saying, no, that the pure devotee is so rare. That's why Parikshit Maharaj is so confused. What happened? It's so rare, pure devotee, and yet this demon Vritrasur is a pure devotee. Yeah.
So Vritrasur also, right from the beginning when he was born, he had that desire to kill Indra, right? So that is also a desire, right?
Well, it was not his desire to kill Indra. He was it was an arrangement made. It was his last life. He had to go back home, back to Godhead. So he appeared just to kill him. It was not his desire, it was the desire of his father. He was just doing his duty.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have
And they
so
didn't
many
mention
material
about
desires.
his father. I mean, his son got poisoned, right? He died.
That is Chitraketu. That now we are going to hear.
That's another.
That is coming now. Yeah, that we are reading.
Yeah.
So we may say, oh, we have so many material desires. What do we do? Well, Bhagavatam says that if you're full of material desires, or you have no desire, material desire, or you desire liberation to enter the Brahman, just engage in devotional service to Krishna.
Right.
We continue engage in devotional service, hearing, chanting, worshipping, remembering. Engage in devotional service and Krishna conscious activities.
Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I'll read the translation of this verse that we read. In this material world, there are as many living entities as atoms. Among these living entities, a very few are human beings, and among them, few are interested in following religious principles. So as many atoms are there, as that many living entities are there. Living entities are everywhere, in the water, in fire, everywhere. The souls are there. So out of so many souls, barely few. Although we say, okay, the world population is increasing, but the population of other species is much higher. Prayo mumukshavaste
Prayo mumukshavaste
Kechaneva dvichotama.
Kechaneva dvichotama.
Mumukshunam sahasreshu.
Mumukshunam sahasreshu.
Kaschin muchyeta siddhyate.
Kaschin muchyeta siddhyate.
O best of the Brahmanas, Sukadev Goswami, out of many persons who follow religious principles, only a few desire liberation from the material world. Among many thousands who desire liberation, one may actually achieve liberation, giving up material attachment to society, friendship, love, country, home, wife, and children. And among many thousands of such liberated persons, one who can understand the true meaning of liberation is very rare. There are 4 classes of men, namely karmis, jnanis, yogis, and bhaktas. This statement pertains especially to karmis and jnanis. A karmi tries to be happy within this material world by changing from one body to another. His objective is bodily comfort, either in this planet or in another. So enjoying mentality. I want to enjoy this world. So when such a person becomes a jnani, because after trying to enjoy, one may become frustrated and say, okay, I want to renounce the world. Because one may say, actually realize, oh, well, there is no real enjoyment, so let me renounce. So then when such a person becomes a jnani, however, he aspires for liberation from material bondage. Among many such persons who aspire for liberation, one may actually be liberated during his life. So there are many people who may want to become liberated, but it's not easy to get liberated. So hardly one can actually become liberated. Such a person gives up his attachment for society, friendship, love, country, family, wife, and children. Among many such persons who are in the vanaprastha stage, one may understand the value of becoming a sannyasi, completely accepting the renounced order of life. So out of many of the liberated persons, hardly one will become a devotee. That we are going to read soon. So one who can actually understand what is liberation, that is very rare. What is real liberation? That only a devotee understands. Real liberation is to engage in devotional service. So it's not very easy as we are reading. But what can we do? We can just continue to hear and chant. As Bhagavatam says that by regularly chanting Bhagavatam, by serving the devotee Bhagavat, then all the passion and ignorance which is in our heart gets washed off, and pure devotional service arises in the heart. So what we have to do is we have to continue to hear and chant. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is a bit long. Shall we stop here then? Did you all want to add anything more?
Yeah, this is something what Vritasu also kept saying, right, to Indra. You're attached. You're attached and you're not keeping Krishna in the center. You have to do your
That's
duty.
right.
Something
So
same what even,
attentive chanting. Yeah. So
yeah,
attentive chanting, chanting attentively. What we need to do is we need to try to, that's what I was trying to understand, how do you change from having so many material desires to at least begin somewhere. So attentive chanting, really, that's what we
yeah,
need to end it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Vritasu's pastime is something really, we can really understand from his pastime so much, so much. He kept saying, don't be attached, be controlled, keep Krishna in center. Whatever we do or we have to do, keeping him in center is very important. Is it pleasing him or not? So if we can try to be, like he says, be thoughtful, be think before you do something, be thoughtful. If you're not, that's what I realized. If I'm not chanting, I have to at least be thoughtful. While I'm not chanting, at least be thoughtful in what I'm doing. Try to. Not always I can, be, there are times where I have to, I mean, I may not be in control of what I'm doing because I'm I'm amongst so many of them, right? But I'm trying my best, to associate with the right things and keeping him in the center all the time. Trying to,
That's what's
yeah.
important.
But it will come. Whatever has to come, I have to face it. So whatever is there, I try to think of whatever is unfolding for me. It's it's I trust him that he's doing it for me. I trust that is going to be, benefiting me. Like Indra is also trying his best, even though he realized that Vritasur was a pure devotee. He had to kill him and, there were so many encouragements. He had to. So this life is full of sins, all the time. There are things that bring us down, and lots of struggle we have to tolerate, and we have to trust also. We have to trust and keep chanting. Like you said, keep hearing, because cultivating knowledge, it also brings us to intelligence. Chanting also brings us to intelligence. So we will be guided, and we have to trust him.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So let's stop here for today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.